Welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 458 of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter, here at the Unpopular Podcast. And I really ask you to agree with me. I'm asking you to hear me out. Oh, boy. You know, there is a lot of stuff you can take from what we saw on Thursday Night Football between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Now, the low-hanging fruit of this game is all the negatives. This was not a good game in any way, shape, or form. Now, yes, Dallas did ultimately win 20-15, but again, the low-hanging fruit that you could take from this game is all negative. Let's do that. I don't like to end with negativity, so let's start with negativity so we can end on a positive note. Let's start with the Dallas Cowboys because they ultimately won. So they feel much better, or you think they'll feel much better than the Giants do right now. A win is a win. Let's get that out of the way. A win is a win. You have to feel good when you get a win, especially in the National Football League. Anybody can win, and on any given Sunday, you can ultimately lose, or any given Thursday at this point, you can ultimately lose. So a win is a win. However, when you're a team like the Dallas Cowboys, when you are quote-unquote America's team, when you have internal aspirations for a Super Bowl, not all wins are created equal. In all intensive purposes, the Dallas Cowboys essentially should have lost this game. In fact, I'll go a step further. If they played a better team than the New York Giants, they would assuredly have lost. Now, again, I know the saying is if was a fifth, you know what I mean? Like we're talking about things that could have happened, things that didn't happen. I'm just talking about the game. Dak Prescott didn't look good. In fact, all the issues outside of one, all the issues that the Dallas Cowboys have had all year, again, I know it's only week 4 now, but have had all season, nearly reared its ugly head Thursday night against the Giants. The only thing that the Dallas Cowboys did do well was stop the run, which they were not able to do against Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens. They were not able to do against Alvin Kamara and the New Orleans Saints. Now, no offense to him, but this is just the truth. Devin Singletary is not on the same level as a Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara. So they were able to do a really good job at, I'll say, minimizing big plays from the running game. And honestly, the Giants haven't had a good running game since Saquon Barkley, and we know where he is now. But the only thing that you can take positively out of this game, actually, you know what? I'm not going to say only. We're gonna get the negative out the way, then we're gonna get to the positive. I don't know how you can feel better outside of the win, but I don't know how you can feel better as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I don't know how you can feel better as a Dallas Cowboy player, as a diehard Dallas Cowboy enthusiast. I don't know how you can feel better about your team after this win. Because the defense still struggled, and you saw injury after injury. DeMarcus Lawrence went out. Michael Parsons went out. You saw the injury bug start to pile up. And on top of that, even when they were healthy, this was a close game. Hell, they won 20-15, but if it wasn't for the lack of inefficiency in the red zone that the Giants had, they probably would have lost because Dak didn't look good. His connection with CeeDee Lamb looked much better than a week ago. I will say that. But we're talking about a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. We're talking about a team that sat on their high horse and said, we don't need to make many moves because we're already a Super Bowl caliber team. I talked about this last episode. They had the mindset of, we have enough to run it back. At least, now they didn't say that, but all their actions pointed to that. When you see people like Derrick Henry that wanted to play for Dallas, they didn't even give him a call, what reports are saying. It's not even reports, what Derrick Henry is saying. When you see a bunch of players that they could have got not only in the draft but in free agency, and they rested on their laurels, and it looked like they were just saying, hey, we're good. Well, 4 weeks in, while yes, they are now 2-2, you can't tell me that this team looks like a Super Bowl caliber team. I know it's one game, right? I'm not taking this whole mindset that I have with the Dallas Cowboys right now isn't just from this Giants game. It's a culmination, even with the Cleveland Browns win. This team is not that good. I'll say this. They have talented players. I said this last episode. It's a good team as far as it has talented players. I'm not going to sit here and say Dak Prescott's not talented. I'm not going to sit here and say that CeeDee Lamb's not talented. I'm not going to sit here and say that DeMarcus Lawrence or Trayvon Diggs or Michael Parsons or Deron Bland. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not talented. But I'm also not going to sit here and say that I've looked at a Super Bowl caliber team. You know what's funny? I'm going to give my week 4 predictions in a second. But I have more confidence in teams that have less wins than the Dallas Cowboys right now than I do with a team that has an opportunity. Like, they have such a boom or bust quality to them. They look like they can run you off the field or they can get run off the field, which we've seen several times. Now, I know I'm going bigger picture, but I'm looking at this Giants game. And while, yes, you checked off the win box, but there was a lot that you had to, I'm not going to say prove to me because I'm nobody in this situation, but there's a lot that you had to prove to the fans. There's a lot that you have to prove to the organization as a whole. And that is, I'm not saying you had to blow the Giants out, but there really wasn't much separation. I'll say that. There really wasn't much separation at the end of the day between how the Giants looked compared to how the Cowboys looked. And I think that is the biggest indictment on the Cowboys for this Thursday night football. Yes, you won 20-15. But again, if you played a better team, it would get ugly. And I think the worst part about it is I feel like they played, at least from what I've seen the first 4 weeks, they've played the best that they can play. Yeah, there are things that you can tweak and everything, but they've played the best that they can play. And you don't have that good of a team. I'll be real. You have players, like I said, but you don't have a great team. And the only positive I can take out of that is the connection between Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb looked really good. And because CeeDee Lamb kind of went crazy. And they got the win. But all the issues that we had with the running game wasn't solved. Again, I have yet to see Dalvin Cook I don't even think he's been on the field. The offensive line didn't look that good. The defense, while they did do a better job stopping the run, they were still... Malik Neighbors had 115 yards. And don't get me wrong, Malik Neighbors has a chance to be one of those players, but, the only positive you can take from this game. Now, on top of that, DeMarcus Lawrence left with an injury, and Michael Parsons. So I'm not completely jumping off board. I know it may sound like that. I'm not completely jumping off ship because they did ultimately get a win, but in no way, shape, or form is my confidence higher on the Dallas Cowboys after Thursday Night Football than it was before. So, for the Giants, you know the crazy thing about the Giants, and I was watching the game, and I was sitting, there was a thought in my head that I was like, you know what, yo, I think the worst part about this whole game and the worst part about this whole situation with the Giants is Daniel Jones is having a good game. I mean, he threw for 281 yards. Like, he had a good game. And it still didn't matter. That's probably one of the best games Daniel Jones has had in a while. And it still didn't matter. Now, I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is, how do I say this? There's a lot of issues with New York. The offensive line is terrible. The defensive line is very spotty, even though it has good players. There are times their secondary. Actually, no. Let's back up. Their defensive line is okay. Their secondary is boy. Their special teams. Yo, the first play of the game a week ago, they fumbled the ball. Like, there are so many issues. And I think the reason why Daniel Jones gets so much blame, and don't get me wrong, Daniel Jones has not been good, like, in any way, shape, or form. Like, Daniel Jones, he's been more of a problem than a solution for this team majority of his tenure with the Giants. The issue is, and this is the issue that's plaguing people like Deshaun Watson right now. This is an issue that's plaguing people like Trevor Lawrence right now. This is an issue that's plaguing people like Justin Herbert right now. When you're paid as much money as you're paid, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. When you're paid as much money as you're paid, you're not looked at as to be just another guy. You're not looked at to be someone that just fits in. You're looked to be someone that overcomes issues. I'm not saying that you have to turn into Patrick Mahomes. I'm not even saying that the organization is looking for you to be someone like Patrick Mahomes. What I'm saying is the organization is looking for you to clean up or be the ultimate Band-Aid. Whether that's realistic or not, we can debate that for another time, but that is what's happening when you get paid as much as you get paid, especially after you get paid and you see the moves that the organization makes because they have to acquiesce to you, i.e. the Giants essentially losing Saquon Barkley because they chose to pay Daniel Jones. Which brings me full circle. I was watching the game on Thursday thinking to myself, yo, Daniel Jones is having a good game. The connection with him and Malik Neighbors is feasting right now. And there was not a point of that game where I thought that the Giants were going to win. And that has been, I think that's been the issue with the Giants, bro. You can't just pinpoint it to one group. One game, Daniel Jones looked god-awful. Another game, the defense looks god-awful. Another game, the offensive line looks terrible. Another game, you got people fumbling the ball all over the place. Like, the Giants are a mess. And I think that's the worst part about this situation is because I don't know the direction that you go. And I don't think they know the direction that they go, which is kind of why I think that they still wholeheartedly are riding with Daniel Jones. Because the Giants aren't terrible, but they're not good. And they're not good for a plethora of reasons, not just one or two. Like, people call me a sycophant, right? I don't know if it's because I'm a Washington fan and I look at, the Dallas Cowboys and I look at the Giants, or I pinpoint the negatives a lot, but when there's an overwhelming bundle of bad, trust me, it's very hard. I try to find the positives in everything. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. But looking at this Giants team, the only positive I see is Malik Neighbors. Looks like he can be one of them. And even he went out with a concussion. So, obviously, everyone that left the game or everyone that finished the game with an injury, I hope that you guys have speedy recoveries, both teams. But I don't know how you could look at that Thursday night football game and have a positive outlook for both teams, because both teams didn't look good in the slightest. But I will say congratulations to the Dallas Cowboys for beating the Giants 20-15. And with the Dallas Cowboys beating the Giants in Thursday Night Football, as you guys know, and as I've said weekly, Thursday Night Football is the start of Week 4, meaning I am going to give my predictions for the rest of Week 4, or Sunday and Monday slate of Week 4, starting with the New Orleans Saints at Atlanta. This is a huge game for both the Saints and Atlanta. I think it's a huge game for both teams because as we sit here, we really don't know who the Saints are, and we really don't know who the Falcons are. We think the Saints could be that team that won 44-10 against the Cowboys. The Saints could be that team where there was a brief period where I think Derrick Carr in this offense scored 15 straight drives, I believe. Or this team could be the team that we saw last week, that the offense got bullied, essentially. And a lot of what we saw last week is what we saw last year. The defense really good, but the offense just can't keep up. They get bullied. When you're in a slugfest, or when you're in a game where you're not going to rattle off 4, 5, 6 touchdowns, are you able to win those grueling games? And as we saw last year, and as we've seen a lot from the Saints, that's not exactly who they are. And there are games, obviously, where they're able to score 44 points, but and they looked incredible. Do not get me wrong; they looked incredible. The first 2 weeks, but they looked more of the same from last year that they did last week. So, were those 2 weeks an anomaly, or was last week the anomaly? For the Falcons, we expect them to be much better than they have been. Now, don't get me wrong. They haven't been terrible, and they were a pass interference away, or a non-called pass interference away from essentially beating the Kansas City Chiefs last week. But they didn't win. And we knew that it was going to take some time for Kirk Cousins to get acclimated, seeing as though he missed most of the season last year with a ruptured Achilles, I believe. We knew it was going to take some time for that. We knew that this is a new system for him. This is a new team. This is a new offense. And we're still dealing with young players. Drake London is still young. Kyle Pitts, even though he's been in the league for 150 years, he's still young. Bijan Robinson is still young. This defense doesn't look the greatest. So it's like, were the expectations too high on the Falcons, or are they just taking more time than we thought to get the engines revving? This game, I think, is extremely important for both teams. And I don't know if last week the Falcons, I don't know if it was more on them as far as them playing well defensively, them playing well against the Chiefs, or was it the Chiefs? Because honestly, quiet as it's kept, the Chiefs haven't looked great most of this season. While yes, they are 3-0, but they haven't really looked like the Chiefs yet. I'm not saying they won't, but Patrick Mahomes has been outplayed several times this year, including against the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. So, I think that this game, like I said, is extremely important for both teams. And I'm going to take what I've seen the first two games and put more weight onto it than I'm going to do the last game for the Saints. I don't think that the Saints is a team that's just going to drop 44, 47, 48 points a game. But I do think that when the Saints are rolling and you're playing a defense that isn't the greatest, their secondary is pretty good with Jesse Bates, but they're not the Saints. I mean, the Falcons aren't the greatest, or isn't the greatest defense. So I think that the Saints are going to look at what happened, and I think they're going to try to rectify and try to prove to us that they're, in fact, not a team that can just be bullied around. And the Falcons isn't really the team to do that, at least right now. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints going into Atlanta and winning. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to be a physical game because, like I said, both teams have a lot to prove right now. I have the Saints beating the Falcons at home. Then we're going to go to the Los Angeles Rams against the Chicago Bears. Now, everything in this game should spell a win for the Bears. The Bears are the more healthier team. The Bears are the younger team. Their defense right now is better than the Rams, and the Rams, their key players outside of Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams is pretty much hurt. Puka Nacua is out. Cooper Kupp is out. Most of the defense is out, and all of that was true last week when the Rams essentially made an incredible comeback against the 49ers. But I said this last episode. I think as we speak right now, right? I think that the Bears defense has played more consistent and played better than the 49ers defense. And this game can look one of two ways. It can look like how it looked last week, the Rams going against the 49ers and ultimately winning, or it can look like it did a week prior, the Rams going against the Cardinals and those injuries really starting to take a toll. Reports are saying that there's a good chance that Keenan Allen could play. And I think that Keenan Allen being there definitely opens up and definitely helps this offense for the Chicago Bears. And quiet as it's kept, Caleb Williams has gotten better week after week. I don't know if he's going to be better than 92 yards I think he threw last week, but he has looked really good. I'm going to go with the Bears to win. While I think that Matthew Stafford is the best player on both teams, I do think that I don't know if last week was more of the Rams just being incredible or the 49ers having major issues. So, especially defensively. So I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. Their defense is extremely good, and quiet as is kept, even though he isn't Hall of Fame worthy yet, Caleb Williams has looked much better for the Chicago Bears, or he's been getting better week after week. So I got the Bears beating the Rams. Minnesota at Green Bay. I like both of these teams, man. Both of these teams have turned me into a believer, surprisingly. I had absolutely no faith in neither one of these teams. Well, I'll say this. I had more faith in the Green Bay coming into the season than I did the Minnesota Vikings. That is essentially because they had Jordan Love, and Jordan Love looked really good towards the end of the season last year. But when Jordan Love went out and I heard that Malik Willis, who didn't have the greatest of stints in Tennessee, when I heard he was going to be the starting quarterback, I was like, oh yeah, the Green Bay Packers are going to suck. And that's no offense to Malik Willis, but that is just the information that we have collected from his play. But I think that this game is going to be, first of all, it is a divisional rivalry, but I think this game is going to be much better than I think it's projected to be. I think Minnesota is humming right now. Even though Sam Darnold did get hurt last game, I do think that, it looks like he's playing. I do think Minnesota is better than the Green Bay Packers. Even though the Green Bay Packers have looked really good, even without Jordan Love, I think Minnesota is going to beat the Packers in Lambeau. First of all, Minnesota Vikings are 3-0. And I think they're going to be 4-0, and they looked damn good. Sam Darnold has looked really good. The defense has looked incredible. I think that they're going to be good. So I have Minnesota beating Green Bay. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. I still have reservations about Pittsburgh. Reservations in the sense of I don't know how good their offense really is. I know their defense is incredible. I know TJ Watt is incredible. I know Minka Fitzpatrick is incredible. I know Cameron Hayward is incredible. I still have reservations on their offense. However, I have much more reservations about the Indianapolis Colts, more specifically Anthony Richardson, than I do the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if you guys saw the reel I dropped about Anthony Richardson, but there's kind of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde with him. Like, he can look incredible. He has too many. It's like he goes for the big play every single time. And sometimes it's spectacular. Sometimes it is dreadful. And I don't, especially with the injuries that the Colts are dealing with right now, I don't think that they can, at least, I don't think that this offense can match with the Pittsburgh defense. I think the Pittsburgh defense has probably been one of, if not the best overall units in football this year so far. And I don't know how the Colts beat that. And then on top of that, if you get the Pittsburgh Steelers offense that you got a week ago, I don't think the Indianapolis Colts have a shot in hell winning this game, to be honest with you. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know what? I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the game. I'm predicting them to win the game. But one thing that I will give credit to, Justin Fields has not put the ball in harm's way. While he hasn't been explosive as much as you would hope, he hasn't, the offense hasn't been world beaters. One thing that Justin Fields has done incredibly is he has not put the ball in harm's way. He has not he has stayed within himself, and he has played extremely well in those instances. So as much as I do have reservations about the offense as far as their ability to keep up scoring wise, I will give credit to where credit is due. Justin Fields has done a good job at keeping the ball safe and secure. So with all that being said, I have Pittsburgh beating the Colts. Now you have Denver at the Jets. I think the Jets are getting better week after week, especially, when you incorporate someone like an Aaron Rodgers and you didn't really have him at all last year when you thought you would. It's going to take some time, and you're going against a team where the Denver Broncos defense is good, but their offense is still trying to figure things out, which means that their defense is on the field a lot. And you keep giving the Jets and Aaron Rodgers situations and time to score. I don't think that's going to really bode well for you. So I have the Jets beating the Denver Broncos. On top of that, the Jets are at home. MetLife is having a busy weekend. Yeah, I have the Jets beating the Denver Broncos. I think Bo Nix has been really good. Whoa, back up. I think Bo Nix has been inconsistent. When he's been good, he's been good. When he's been bad, he's been bad. But yeah, I have the Jets beating I think the Jets are just an overall better team than the Broncos. Another very important and very sneaky good game is the Philadelphia Eagles at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a rematch of last year's playoffs. Obviously, the Buccaneers knocked the Philadelphia Eagles out of the playoffs last year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, outside of last week against the Broncos, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have looked really good. The Eagles have looked a little sketchy outside of last week. And it's been widely talked about that Jalen Hurts has been like a turnover machine lately, or since the start of last year. I think he has the most interceptions or most turnovers. And you're going against a defense where they did not look good at all last week. And I think that I don't know if it was they're looking past the Broncos to the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that a lot of people, including myself, have pegged as one of the Super Bowl caliber teams, especially with Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley has looked really good for this Eagles team this first 3 weeks. But I'm going to go with the Eagles, man. I think the Eagles are supposed to be a better team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though the Buccaneers have been playing really well, I think it's going to go down to, is Baker Mayfield going to be able to capitalize and take advantage of whatever this Eagles defense is going to give them? The Eagles secondary still isn't the best, but their front, like there was last week with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, that is a front for you. Nakobe Dean. If Baker Mayfield has time, I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have a good shot of winning, but I just don't know if that's the case. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just think that Saquon Barkley has played really well. I don't know the status of Villa. I think that's important. And this is a Devin White return game. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win. Cincinnati at Carolina. Let me stay here for a second. I understand that one team is coming off a win and one team's coming off 3 losses in a row. 4 if you include last year. But let me tell you something, Cincinnati. I'm not convinced that Andy Dalton has just completely changed the fortunes of this Carolina Panthers team. Andy Dalton doesn't play defense. In the offense, this is the first time we've seen really Deontay Johnson do something in a Panthers uniform. I'm not one of those doom and gloom type people. But I will say this. If you, Cincinnati, go into Carolina, a team that has one win under their belt, if you go into Carolina and come out 0-4, forget doom and gloom. The season is over. I don't think there's any shot in heaven or hell that you're going to make the playoffs at that point. You have yet to play your division. And you have one of the easiest schedules in football. And you lose to a team that essentially benched a number 1 overall pick for a player that majority of individuals, including myself, thought he was retired. Yeah, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win. I think they understand that they need to win now. I will preface this by saying I think they believe that they were supposed to win and they should have won against the Washington Commanders. But we see how that happened. I'm just saying, bro, you want to talk about a busy, loud Monday morning, Monday afternoon if the Cincinnati Bengals do not beat the Carolina Panthers. And if you look at the sports books and you look at the spread and everything, they do have Cincinnati winning, but not by a lot. That should tell you a lot. If you have any pride for yourself, bro, you cannot lose to the Carolina Panthers. Now, I know this is no offense to Carolina, but this is like, we know who Carolina is, bro. Come on. I have the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Carolina Panthers. They need to be. You don't even know if Adam Thielen is going to play. Yeah, bro. Cincinnati, you got to win, bro. Jacksonville Jaguars at Houston Texans. I am completely out on the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point. You're going to have to prove it to me to believe in you guys again. And while Houston hasn't looked the best, and Houston did get destroyed against Minnesota, the Houston didn't quit. They just were outplayed, and C.J. Stroud turned the ball over a bunch of times that game. The Jacksonville Jaguars hasn't looked like that. They quit against the Bills, bro. And you're going to have to turn me into a believer, bro. I have the Houston Texans beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. No. I am not going to put my faith in Trevor Lawrence in this offense and this defense again. You're going to have to prove it to me. So I have the Houston Texans, in all intents and purposes, are a better team, bro. Like their offense. And I don't know if Tank Dell is going to play. I think I saw that he might be injured, but you still have Nico Collins, you still have Stephon Diggs. It's very important to get Joe Mixon back and Joe Mixon going, but I don't trust. Oh, and the offensive line needs to do much better, but I do not trust the Jacksonville Jaguars, so I'm going to go with the Houston Texans beating the Jaguars. Washington at Arizona. Hey, man. I got Washington. You know what I mean? I got Washington. Now, it does scare me that you're about to go against quite as kept, Washington has let a receiver go crazy every game outside of the Giants game. They let Mike Evans go crazy. They let Jamar Chase go crazy last week. And now you're about to go against Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, we know, if you watch the tape, we know that, and Trey McBride doesn't look like he's playing. So we know that the Arizona Cardinals are going to try their hardest to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. Yo, Washington, we can win this game. And I have us winning. I'm not going to say do what you did last week, but I don't know if Austin Eckler is going to play, so this could be a big game for Brian Robinson. But the Arizona Cardinals don't have the greatest defensive line, so this could be a big running game. Looks like the connection continues to grow with Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. And you're going against an Arizona team that isn't the best. They're okay, but there isn't the best. They do have they can destroy you or they can get destroyed. There's really no in between, as what we've seen this year. So I have the Washington Commanders beating the Arizona Cardinals. New England Patriots at San Francisco. I don't know. I know that's a cop-out, bro. I really don't know about this game, man. There is a Cheesecake Factory sized menu or Cheesecake Factory menu size injury report for the San Francisco 49ers. Everybody in their mama is hurt. Now, obviously, some people will play, but the amount of people hurt on this team it's alarming. On top of that, as I said last episode, their defense has not played well. And I said that to say I think they're still going to win. Because the New England Patriots, bro, as much as I like, I'm all for African Americans advancing and I'm all for black people being their best. There's a reason why Jacoby Brissett is a backup quarterback. I don't think he's that good, especially at the starting position. And I don't know how many people. I don't even know if Brock Purdy, as I'm recording this, it hasn't really been announced. I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to play. He probably will. But even a banged up 49ers should not lose to the New England Patriots. So I have the 49ers winning. Then you have the Cleveland Browns at Las Vegas Raiders. Let me take a pause here. Deshaun Watson, bro. Okay. As I said about Daniel Jones, when you're paid as much as you're paid, especially when you have a huge contract that a lot of people don't believe that you deserve, you're looked at to be essentially the savior. You're looked at to be essentially the player that if there's a bunch of issues, your talent should supersede a lot of them. Not saying that it should supersede all of them, but your talent alone should overcome a lot. And I completely agree with what Stephen A. Smith said, I think yesterday, when talking about Deshaun Watson. We know about all the crazy stuff that he's accused of off the field. But as of recently, that has not been the talking point for Deshaun Watson. The talking point for Deshaun Watson is he has been horrible as a quarterback. His on-field play has been so bad that people are not talking about his off-field situations. Do you understand how crazy that is? And then for you to come out and say, they didn't bring me here. They don't expect me to be a running back. I don't think I should have to use my legs more. I don't think that we should have design runs more. Bro, they're asking you this because you being a quarterback has not been good. I know I'm one of those people to a certain point that still sort of, kind of, maybe a little bit holds out hope that Deshaun Watson could return to his Houston Texans day, even though 99.9% of the evidence that you have shown suggest that that is not going to happen and you will never be there again. Because nothing about what you have produced as a Cleveland Brown has shown that you will ever get back to the levels that you were at when you were with Houston. You had one, I repeat, and I'll say it slower for the people that maybe think I talk fast. Deshaun Watson has had one game where he looked great, and that was against the Baltimore Ravens a year ago. And if we're being completely honest, he only looked great for one quarter, not for the game. And that game is talked about more for another blown lead that the Ravens gave up, more than Deshaun Watson playing incredible that fourth quarter. Outside of that, it has been extremely forgettable. And then for you to say that after coming off of a loss to the Giants, man, talk about reading the room, brother. Look, there's a lot of people that think Deshaun Watson did not deserve any of that contract that he got. Bro, he was the highest paid player of an NFL history. And you have played like damn near one of, if not the worst quarterbacks in football since wearing that orange and brown helmet. So if I was Deshaun Watson, now this is just me now. Obviously, I don't have $200+ million to my name, nor do I have 100,000 off the field allegations. I do want to throw that out there. But if I was Deshaun Watson and they asked me, hey, yo, you haven't really been too successful throwing the ball. Do you think that they should run more passes? I think my answer would be very simply, I know that I have not been the best. I know that I have not been great. And I know that I have not put my team in the position to win a lot of times. So I am open to doing anything to help my team win. I am open to doing anything to not only improve my game, but put our team or put my team in the best position to win, because I have not done that effectively this season yet. That's honest. But no, that's not what you said, brother. And now you're going into this game against the Las Vegas Raiders, who have a list of issues with them as well. You got your head coach saying that people made business decisions. You have, to be honest with you, you have unreal expectations because they beat the Ravens. People think the Vegas Raiders are good. They're not. This is not a good team. They have two good players, two consistent players. Devontae Adams, Max Crosby. And they have a okay player. They have a pretty good player in Jacoby Myers. They don't have nobody else. Gardner Minshew is not a starting quarterback. And I say all that to say, I have absolutely no faith in the Cleveland Browns. When I did the NFC breakdown, or I'm sorry, the AFC North breakdown, I said the Cleveland Browns were going to be the second best team in that division, because you can argue that they have the best, if not second best roster in that division. And how quickly my ideas of that team has changed, because Deshaun Watson has been god awful. So I say all that to say, I'm going to pick the Las Vegas Raiders. I have no faith. I would like to be wrong, but I have no faith in the Cleveland Browns. And that is because their quarterback has been awful. So, yeah, bro. You got the Kansas City Chiefs at Los Angeles Chargers. I've said this before. Kansas City hasn't looked the best like all season, even though they are 3-0. And you're going against a Chargers team that it seems like everybody named Mama is hurt. Justin Herbert, a bunch of players on the Joey Bosa. Like, I don't know how many times that I have to come here and I said, this is a game that Travis Kelce is going to have a big game. I'm not going to say that, but I do think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to beat the Chargers. I think the Chargers just aren't healthy. And even at full health, I would still probably pick the Kansas City Chiefs, but the fact that the Chargers are not healthy and you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, even though Patrick Mahomes hasn't looked great, they're still 3-0. Rashid Rice looks incredible. And you still have Travis Kelce back there, even though he hasn't done anything this year. I'm gonna go with the healthier team. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs. The game of the week, in my opinion, the Baltimore Ravens host the Buffalo Bills. A team that is 3-0 going against a team that is 1-2 right now. Now I know it's like, what? You're going against a team that would just in the AFC Championship, that has a 2-time MVP, that has Derrick Henry, against a team that has Josh Allen and James Cook, and boy, this right here, outside of obviously Baltimore playing Kansas City Chiefs week 1, this is the ultimate test for both teams. If you want to know exactly who both teams are, this is the game. We can question who the Buffalo Bills have played. Record aside, this would be the best team that they've played. And the Baltimore Ravens, outside the Kansas City Chiefs, this will be the best team that they have played. If there is any, I know it's early, but you're going to see exactly where these teams are. As far as, has Buffalo been that 3-0 team, or are there still question marks? Are the Baltimore Ravens really as far away from their ultimate goal as the championship, or are they right in it? Was it just a slow start? We are going to learn a lot about both of these teams. And both of these teams, there is a lot on the line as far as you're going to, even internally, you're going to see, this is a measuring stick game. We talk about this a lot. Every single year you circle dates on the schedule. You're going against, at this point, 4 weeks in, the front runner for the MVP and Josh Allen, and a team that has looked, in all intents and purposes, the Buffalo Bills have looked like the best team in football. Going against a team where you've looked good, you just haven't looked great. And as I stated before, you have been the biggest hindrance to your success, in my opinion, with the game plan and scheme and everything, in the Baltimore Ravens. And I am going to, as much as I want to root for them, I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win. I think the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, the Baltimore Ravens still need to figure things out with their offensive line. They still need to figure things out with their defense. And Buffalo is coming in red hot. Now, again, I am acknowledging that they played the Jacksonville Jaguars. They played the Miami Dolphins, and Tua got hurt. And they played somebody else. But they're 3-0. And they didn't play the best of teams. So I'm going to acknowledge that. And I think Baltimore is I think it's going to be a very good game. And I think Lamar Jackson's going to play well because their secondary isn't the greatest, Buffalo, but they're getting to the quarterback. And that might be an issue when you're dealing with the Baltimore Ravens offensive line. So I'm going to go Buffalo, even though I would like to be wrong. I think it's going to be a really good game. And I actually think that even though I have Buffalo winning, I think that we're going to think positively about both teams coming out. I think it's going to be a close game. And even though the Baltimore Ravens will be 1-3, I think they're going to play up to snuff. It's just Buffalo is on a heater right now. So That's what I have on Sunday Night Football. Oh, gee. What did you look at that? Another doubleheader with Monday Night Football. Look, I don't understand why you're doing this, bro. I don't understand why. First, oh my God, why is the Monday Night Football, the first game, Tennessee at Miami? Look, I understand that. I understand completely that these schedules were made before the season started. But you should be able to flex primetime games. You do it towards the end of the season. I don't know why you can't do it now. Bro, Tua's not even going to play. Will Levis has looked horrible. Why not put the Baltimore... If you're going to do this whole stupid... and I think it is dumb. If you're going to do this stupid 2 games for Monday Night Football, why not put like a better game? Like, why not put... Since you see how good they are, why not put Minnesota at Green Bay as one of the Monday Night Football games? Why not put New Orleans at Atlanta? Why are we sitting through Will Levis against whoever the hell the backup quarterback was? It Tyler Huntley? Whoever the hell the backup quarterback is for Miami. Like, no one wants to see that, bro. I have the Tennessee Titans getting their first win against Miami because the Miami looks horrible without Tyreek Hill. Without Tua Tagovailoa. They look bad, like terrible. So, golly, bro, talk about it. Hey, man. And then you got me sitting. Well, this is a better game. Seattle at Detroit. You have a 3-0 team against Detroit. I got Detroit winning. I think Seattle is a pretty good team, but Detroit is one of them. Detroit is on another level, I think. So, yeah. I don't understand the allure, bro. I understand the fact that the NFL, you're going to watch whatever. People love the NFL so much, so you're going to watch the games. But it's like, why do you forcing people to decide what they're going to watch? You're essentially hurting your own product, in my opinion. It's like, on top of that, you have the Tennessee Titans going against the Dolphins. When you have the Kansas City Chiefs going against let's do a better game. You have two of the 5 top draft picks going up against Washington and Arizona. You have a 3-0 team going up against a divisional rival in Minnesota against Green Bay. It's like, man. But yeah, that's my predictions for week 4. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let's move forward. Let me get very candid. Now, we're moving off of football for all my DSP listeners. I appreciate you guys. Let me have a very candid conversation with the Chicago Sky and ultimately the WNBA. Let's start with the Chicago Sky. So the Chicago Sky fires Teresa Weatherspoon after just 1 year. Now, the Chicago Sky went, I think, 13 and 21 or 13 and 27 or something like that. They didn't make the playoffs, and a lot of people are pointing to, or a lot of the reasons why she was fired, I think they're trying to pin on the exit interviews with the players, and they were saying that they had a very tough time as far as Teresa Weatherspoon's game plan was all over the place and it was inconsistent. Okay. I'm going to get as brutally honest as possible. When you look at this Chicago Sky team, I don't know where the disconnect was. And what I mean disconnect, I mean this roster is not that good. On top of the roster not being that good, you dealt with players coming in and out the lineup all season due to injury, due to sicknesses. And what do you expect a coach to do when you have to, your game plan has to change week after week, game after game, because you don't know the players that you're going to have game after game. Bro, the Chicago Sky was knee deep in playoff contention before Kennedy Carter got sick. Now, I'm hearing people say, well, she probably should have ran more plays through Angel Reese and Camila Cardoza. Bro, have you gone and take a gander and take a look at Angel Reese's field goal percentage? Field goal percentage around the rim, might I add you? I love Angel Reese, bro. I understand that she didn't win Rookie of the Year or didn't get any first place votes. Cool. And I think Angel Reese is going to be an incredible face for the WNBA. But the facts are the facts. Angel Reese has been horrible offensively, especially close to the rim. So for a team that you think is supposed to win more than 13 games, or she's supposed to run her offense around a player that can barely make a layup, and if you think I'm being overly critical, go look at Angel Reese's field goal percentage around the rim. Go look at Camila Cardoza's field goal percentage around the rim. Back up. Go look at what teams are shooting from three when both Angel Reese and Camila Cardoza are in the game. In fact, I'll do you one even better. Go look at the field goal percentage from teams when Angel Reese and Camila Cardoza are in the game. I'm saying all that to say, how do you expect? You see, the WNBA isn't much different than the NBA, isn't much different than the NFL, isn't much different than MLB, isn't much different than any sport. The foundation of sports is the same. You take a young player and you hope that you can develop them the best way that you can. You take a young team, you take a team, and hope that you can get the best out of them. You have a player in Angel Reese who can't score the ball on a consistent basis. Camila Cardoza is not an offensive threat right now. Your only consistent offensive threat missed the majority of the end of the season due to sickness, and Kennedy Carter. What do you expect Teresa Weatherspoon to do? Players, what do you expect her to do when you look left and right and your starting lineup changes all the time? Not because she just feels like changing it, because you don't have available players. You know what? I'll do you one even better. Fans, name me somebody on the Chicago Sky outside of Kennedy Carter, Angel Reese, and Camila Cardoza. I'm not poo-pooing on anybody. I'm not crapping on this team. What I'm saying is there are so many unreasonable expectations which essentially cause people to lose their job. Do I think Teresa Weatherspoon did the greatest job last year? No, but I think that she did the best with what she can do. I think she did the best with what she can work with. And to fire her really shows that you essentially don't have a pulse on your own team. And you don't understand how to win. Look, Kalea Copper ain't walking through that door, bro. Diamond DeShields ain't walking through that door. Candace Parker ain't walking through that door. So what? You're going to hire a coach that now a player that already isn't the best offensively is going to need to learn a new offense. Or I put money I know what's going to happen. They're going to hire a coach that's going to say, you know what we should do? We should run our offense through Angel Reese. Let's see how that works for you. At least right now. Oh, brother. I wish the best for Teresa. I think this is just I took the long way home for me to just say I don't think Teresa Weatherspoon deserved to be fired. I think she did a good job for what she had to work with. I mean, hell, as much crap as I gave Angel Reese for the offense, she still was amongst the league leaders in rebounds, and she didn't even finish the season healthy. So I want the best for Teresa Weatherspoon. I don't think that she got a fair shake, especially after one season. Which brings me to the WNBA. I have been very vocal with my issues with the WNBA. The WNBA does some great things. But there are things that they do that I'm just like, what? For instance, why is your first playoff round the best of three, and the first two games are at the better teams, the higher seeds home? You don't think that's a disadvantage? On top of that, your next two rounds is the best of five. Why not, if anything, why not make the first round best of five? Are you losing money? We can talk about the pay discrepancy. Hell, I think Gabby Wilson came out and said it like, yo, you got to pay us more if you want us to stay. There are people, a lot of these players are making way more overseas than they do here. So you're going to essentially, you know what it's going to take? It's going to take a big name to be like, I'm not coming back. I'll play overseas. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's going to take like a Breonna Stewart. It's going to take an Asia Wilson to have an incredible season and then be like, hey, you know what? I don't feel like I make more wherever I go. I make more in, let's say, Brazil than I do in the Americas, so I'm not coming back. That's what's going to take, because obviously the loud voices of players that would be like, yo, I don't make enough to maintain. Obviously, they're not listening. Or you could talk about how you guys promote the game and how your social media accounts can be a tad bit faster on information. I know a couple of people that work for the WNBA social team, so I'm not crapping on you guys. I'm just saying, I think it would be great for the WNBA not to announce something at like 5 a.m, as big as someone winning the MVP. Just saying. But the issue that I'm here to talk about is this whole racism thing and your response on it. So the league has dealt with racist fans all season that have been connected with Caitlin Clark. Not saying that Caitlin Clark has been racist, but a lot of her fans have spewed racist rhetoric to other players and even her own teammates. Now, this isn't a new complaint. This complaint has been there for the entire season. And you wait until the Fever not only get swept, but you wait until the Fever gets swept and Caitlin Clark is out the playoffs for you to make a, excuse my language, a bullshit ass response to, this is the WNBA, we don't support any racism, when players have been calling and have been crying about it all year. Now let me be very specific and very, I don't think Caitlin Clark supports racism. I don't think that Caitlin Clark is fueling racism. I think that Nick Wright said it best. I think that a lot of these fans are actually not really fans of Caitlin Clark. They're just connecting themselves to Caitlin Clark so they can spew their hatred and their racist rhetoric. And they're hiding themselves under the umbrella of Caitlin Clark fans. I think a lot of the racism that are just people that are racist. And they feel emboldened. Like when you go to, you ever seen some of the people and some of the things they say at Trump rallies? And it's like, yeah, you're probably saying this right now, like as loud as you're saying this, because you're surrounded by like-minded people. I'm not saying that. I don't think a lot of these racist people are Caitlin Clark fans. They're just racist. And, you know, it's safer to hide at this point, to hide behind Caitlin Clark fans, you know. But what I will say is this, WNBA, don't let these new fans of Caitlin Clark fool you from the fact that you're not really in the best place right now. You're not really in the most favorable of states right now. People are not as happy with the WNBA as you think they are, just because you see a bunch of, you know, attendance records go up or viewership goes up. That's mainly because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is here. That's not because the fans love you. Because trust and believe, there is a lot of issues with the WNBA. And they have been on Front Street all season. On top of that, icing on the cake is Teresa Weatherspoon getting fired after 1 year. I know that's not a whole WNBA issue, but that's just yet another blow. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see nothing more than the WNBA succeed. I think that there are incredible women basketball players, and the WNBA should do a good job at showcasing the best of the best, just like the NBA does a great job at showcasing the best of the best basketball talents on the men's side. I think the WNBA should do the same thing. And I feel like a lot of their issues is them getting in their own way, them being slow to react to things, or them just not understanding the temperature of the room. This is me, a concerned, upset, and observant fan of the WNBA. And from what I'm observing, especially this last season, I think you're letting the new viewership and the new attendance records and the new fans of Caitlin Clark blind you from the fact of you're not really in the best of standings with fans right now. So, yeah. I would love to see you get it together. So, let's move forward. Boy, I'm not gonna stay on this long, but Derrick Rose retired, and Gilbert Arenas said it best. Shouts out to Gilbert Arenas and the Gil Arena podcast or Gil Arena show, pretty much. He said it best. There is a Hall of Fame That like the official Hall of Fame, the one that's in Springfield, the one that's in Canton. We're talking about NFL. And then there's the Players Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame that players that played, fans that watch. That Hall of Fame of players, while you may not be in the Hall of Fame, while you may never be in the Hall of Fame, you're good enough. You know, whether it was due to injury, whether it was just people not respecting you, you're good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. And if you have any question on how people view Derrick Rose, look at the response that he got from his retirement after 15 seasons. And just the people going down memory lane and the people that are saying Derrick Rose changed their life, and you know he is the youngest player in NBA history to win a MVP, and the promise that he had. Now, I know that you're probably listening to me and say, how did he have problems and have a 15-year career? Well, Derrick Rose is also the perfect example of what injuries can do to a player. Because Derrick Rose, in all intents and purposes, was probably the most athletic player at the point guard position the NBA has ever seen. And that is even with Russell Westbrook. That's even with Ja Morant. That's John Wall. None of them were close to the explosiveness, the athleticism, the speed that Derrick Rose had. But then injuries hit, and it kept hitting, and it drastically changed Derrick Rose. And that's why you see a lot of people when they talk about the heights of Derrick Rose, there were some high highs, bro. Derrick Rose was on the trajectory to be one of the greatest point guards we've ever seen. So when we talk about the Players Hall of Fame, or the Hall of Fame of players that may or may not ever get to the Hall of Fame because their accolades don't say enough, Derrick Rose is up there. Gilbert Arenas is up there. I don't know if he'll make it or not, but Tracy McGrady is up there. Brandon Roy's up there. John Wall's up there. These players, while they probably will maybe Tracy McGrady different, but they probably will never touch the Hall of Fame due to injury, due to the situations that they were in. They're still great, and Derrick Rose is one of those. Congratulations, being able to walk into retirement instead of being forced out of retirement. The reports are saying that he requested, because he still had like a year or two left on his deal from Memphis. The reports are saying he requested to be waived because he knew he was done. And he didn't want to cheat them and just sit on the bench and take money. I respect that. Derrick Rose, before the injuries, at his peak, was one of the most enjoyable players to watch. We talk about the joy that you get when you watch Steph Curry get hot, or the joy you get where Kevin Durant's in a zone, or just hitting shot after hit, or when LeBron James is in that mode. Well, Derrick Rose is on that level. And he forever changed Chicago. And I'm saying congratulations to Derrick Rose for his retirement. And he probably won't. He's only 3-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA, or 2-time All-NBA first team, and then MVP. Derrick Rose will probably be the first player to ever win the MVP to not make the Hall of Fame, but I don't know one player that doesn't have Derrick Rose in their Hall of Fame. So shouts out to Derrick Rose for a very successful career. Yes, it wasn't as great as it could have been due to injury, but I always say if you can last for 15 years, especially after the devastating injuries that he faced, he had a very successful career. So shouts out to Derrick Rose. Also want to say shouts out to Oakland, man. The Oakland A's played their last game in Oakland a day or two ago. Now the A's ain't been good for a minute, but Oakland is that very rare city that saw a huge number of success. Whether we talk about the Oakland Raiders, they won 2 Super Bowls. The Golden State Warriors won 4, I think, championships there when in Oakland. And the Oakland A's won, I think, 3 or 4 World Series. It's just now they're moving. I think they're moving to Vegas. And this is yet another team that Oakland has lost. But you have to understand, apparently, where the A's, where the Raiders, and where the Golden State Warriors played, their facilities was trash. Like, it was tough. And when you have teams, now obviously more Golden State than anything, but when you have teams that continue to rise in value, you have to be able to adjust. And I guess Oakland wasn't able to do that. And we're seeing that with the A's now. They're going to be playing in Sacramento until their field is built in Vegas. But again, it's going to be unfortunate that there's going to be a generation of players that don't know how great Oakland was as a city, whether we talk about for sports. Like, there's going to be a generation that doesn't know about John Madden outside of the football game. There's going to be a generation that only know Golden State as playing at the Chase Center and not Oracle. There's going to be a generation of players or people that only know the Oakland A's for playing in Vegas. So they're probably being called the Vegas A's. Yeah, man, this is my hat to the Oakland A's and Oakland as a whole. To lose that much history is crazy. And again, there's going to be a generation of people that don't know anything about Oakland. And like there's a good number of people that don't know that the Oklahoma City Thunder used to be this, Seattle Supersonics, It's crazy. So shouts out to Oakland. So and shouts out to the A's. I know they were trash. They've been trash for a good minute, but they have a very rich history. So shouts out to them for playing their last game in Oakland. And the fans too. Like, they had a sold out thing. There were, players or people. I saw a bunch of pictures of people that were there, like the first game that they ever had in Oakland. Now make it to the last game. That shows you, even though they were not good, that shows you the level of love that Oakland sports got. So shouts out to, it sucks that they had to move, but I hope that they find success or find the success that they had so long ago in Oakland. I hope they find that in Vegas. So. And lastly, before we go, the unpopular topic of the day, I'm going to keep this very short and brief. I'm going to ask you a question for the unpopular topic of the day. Say you go to a job, right? And the job agrees to pay you, whether it's verbal, whether it's written, the job agrees to pay you a certain amount of money. There's agreement there. And upon going to the job and upon working the job, you realize, or I'll say it like this, the company then does not hold their end of the bargain. And they don't pay you the amount that they said they'll pay you. And on top of that, they don't have any indication that they're going to pay you what they said they're going to pay you. Let me ask you, what would you do? Would you stay and just thug it out and just be like, I know you guys said that you'd pay me this, and now it's come out that you're not going to pay me and that you have no intention of paying me? but because I said that I work here, I'm going to do that. Or if you had an opportunity to leave, would you leave? Because the agreement that you guys agreed upon, they have not held up their end of the bargain. That's exactly what's going on with Matthew Sluka and the UNLV football team. First of all, the UNLV is 3-0. Matthew Sluka is the starting quarterback. But apparently he had NIL deals and agreements for $100K. And they're not trying to pay him what they agreed to pay him. And people are upset that he decided to leave. Like, what do you expect, bro? People are saying that's the dark side of NIL. No, bro, if you said that you're going to pay me something and I start working and then you say, I'm not going to pay you that. I'm not doing no more work, bro. I am gone. What? You know what? Hearing the backlash that Matthew Sluka is getting, telling me he quit on his teammates and this, that, and the third, really proves that people don't put everyday logic into sports. And what I mean by that is, if your business, if your job, because essentially these are businesses, these schools, these programs, these teams, they're businesses, they're jobs. If you were told one thing in your contract, whether verbal or anything, and they don't hold up your end of the contract, it would look foolish on you to stay. Yet you expect somebody else to stay. Man, it don't make no sense. Hey, bro. Matthew Sluka, bro, go get your money. Because that's another thing, bro. Like, college football, college sports, the NFL, like, sports have done a great job of allowing you to side with a team more than a player. Like, bro, what? Man, go get your money, bro. What are we talking about? I would left too. You're not going to agree to pay me something. And then essentially, while I start the work, say, yeah, we're not going to pay you that. What? All right, well, it's been real. What? There you have it, man. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I truly appreciate you guys. If you want a Popular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple colors, multiple different designs. Get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get as many subscribers as possible. I appreciate all of you guys. If you like the content, if you make it this far, you're not subscribed, I don't know what to tell you, bro. But if you do like the content, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. It definitely means a lot. Also, if you listen on DSPs, whether that's Apple Podcasts, whether that's Spotify, whether that's SoundCloud, wherever you listen to the DSPs and wherever you're listening to the Unpopular Podcast, please follow, please subscribe. It definitely means a lot, and I appreciate everyone that supports me. Also, please subscribe to the socials. Subscribe to Instagram, subscribe to TikTok. I post pretty much dailies. I usually post multiple reels. Post stories. If you want to go back and forth, that's probably the quickest way to get to me. Just keep it respectful, and I don't mind going back and forth. It just means that not only you are passionate about whatever we're talking about, but you're listening to me, and I appreciate all of that. I appreciate you guys, and until next time, much love.